To the residents of St Helena, do you want outdoor covered spaces to count towards your interior conditioned space? How can a single word affect you? My name is Michelle Lou Covell, and I'm a resident of St Helena for the past 10 years. My husband and I are both architects, and together we have 32 years of experience practicing architecture in Napa Valley. We have worked with residents in town from garage conversions to ADUs to remodels and additions and new construction homes. We know firsthand how hard it is to navigate the zoning codes and the costs associated. Something major is happening in our town. A single word is potentially going to do a lot of damage. I need your help. Here is where this word was inserted. The following buildings and areas are exempt from the FAR provisions, max building gross floor area. So the former code said a balcony, porch, deck, or other structure where at least one side of the longest dimensions is unenclosed was exempt. In the adopted code in October 2023, balcony, porch, deck, or other structure that is unenclosed on at least 3 sides is exempt. And then later, after it was formally adopted, the word uncovered was inserted without review or proper process. The word was inserted here. An uncovered balcony, porch, or deck, or other structure that is unenclosed on at least 3 sides was exempt, meaning a covered balcony, porch, or deck, or other structure is not exempt anymore. A covered porch, not exempt anymore. This is what the former code looked like pre-2023. Here's where it says the following buildings and areas are exempt from the FAR provisions: a balcony, porch, deck, or other structure. In the new code, it now says, and this just to point it out, the following additional standards apply for existing development and new construction in the L1, LR1A, LR, MR, and HR zoning districts. The following buildings and areas are exempt from max building gross floor area: an uncovered balcony, porch, deck, or other structure that is unenclosed on at least 3 sides. So let's look at where these zoning districts are. This is the St Helena zoning map. I will show a more zoomed in photo of the northern side and the southern side in a moment, but I just want to get you oriented. True north is up. Here is Main Street, and this is Pratt Ave, and you're heading out north towards Calistoga here. And this is kind of the southern end of the town and going down to Napa here. Where are the HR, MR, LR, and LR1A zoning districts? This is the key here. So you see orange, orange, yellow, and then the blue stripes, which you can see kind of make up a lot of this area here, here, and here, and here. The green is A20, just for reference. That is not in the 4 zoning districts where this word will apply. So are you in this area? Let's zoom in and look. Here is the northern end. I zoomed in on, I screen capped the key up here. But I will walk through the northern side. Here's Pratt Avenue. And here's that Cronulla District Circle. Here's Main Street. Here's Elmhurst. Here's Spring Mountain Road. There's Dean York Lane in this area that is in the LR1A district. Here's Hillview and Vineyard Ave. There's Madrona here, Pine Street, Kearney Street, Oak Street, Adams Street, Hudson Ave, Tainter, and here's Fir Hill, just in case you can't read that in this darker color. On this side, here's Main Street, so you are on Main Street right there. I think these are the apartment buildings on Fulton Lane here. And let's see, this is Spring Street here, and I think this is Mitchell Drive. And then on this side, we have Hunt Avenue. So here's Adams Street for reference. This is the library lot. So here is Hunt Avenue, Monte Vista, Meadowwood Creek. We have Pope Street here, and we have, yeah, so there's Pope Street all the way around here, and this whole area of McCorkle and this neighborhood back here. Let's go down to the southern side. Okay, here we are on the southern side. Here's Spring Street and Hudson Ave, Valley View, and then Crane Ave. You have a couple of houses here in yellow. You have the Sylvaner Avenue Circle, Riesling Way. I'm not really sure if there's many. There's a few houses there. This is Spring Street all the way down to here. I think this is the cemetery here in Churches. Continuing on to Crane Avenue, going down Sulphur Springs Avenue, and you have this neighborhood off of this El Bonita Avenue. That's also in the medium density residential. You have some houses here on the Grayson Ave right across the street from the high school. And yeah, I believe I covered that area there. So hopefully that gives you a better picture of what applies. High density, medium density residential, low density residential, and the low density residential 1 acre minimum. So how does this word or an exemption affect your calculations for your maximum buildable square footage? I am going to walk through a couple of conceptual plans. Feel free to pause at any moment in this slideshow to read thoroughly anything else you would like to read. I will not be touching on everything on the slides. Okay, so this house is a 9,000 square foot lot, has a 9,000 square foot lot. It's a ranch style house. It has a 1,550 conditioned interior space, roughly 3 bedroom, 1.5 bath, a garage and storage, 700 square feet, front porch, patio, covered front porch, 250, and a covered patio in the back, 250, and a solid roof pergola. Okay, so in the former code, and again, I'm only going to be focusing on this maximum buildable square footage. And I'm not going to walk through all of this, but you were allowed 830 square feet to add to this house based off of the calculations and exemptions. You were exempt having to include these front porches and patios. In the adopted code here, under this column, you now have to add this front porch that is only 2 sides open, unenclosed, not 3 sides unenclosed. So this front porch is now added to your existing square footage, and you subtract it from your allowed, and you have now 645 square feet to add to this house. And lastly, if this word uncovered is inserted, now your covered front porch, your covered patio, and your solid roof covered pergola all have to be included as your interior square footage. So now you have 2,670 as your existing. You subtract it from your allowable, and you have 275 square feet to add to this 1,550 square foot living space, conditioned living space. This is how those words change your calcs from 830 square foot allowed to add, 645, and then 275 square feet. I'm going to move on to the next slide. Here is another conceptual plan. This house is on a lot that is 16,000 square feet. It is 2 floors. Here's the first floor and here's the second floor. This house has a front porch, a nice wraparound porch, a conditioned interior living space, a covered back patio, a pergola with solid roof, and a garage on the first floor. On the second floor, you have a conditioned interior living space and a deck or balcony or outdoor covered balcony, 150 square feet. I'll walk through the calculations on the next slide. For this slide, I've put the plans here smaller for reference. So in the former code, with the calculations and exemptions, you were allowed to add 600 square feet to this house. In the adopted code, because this patio in the back that's covered is 2 sides unenclosed, we have to add that to the existing square footage. It has been brought to my attention that this front porch, what I thought would be maybe considered 3 sides open, 1, 2, and 3, may have to count the little shoulders that are right here because those areas are 2 sides unenclosed, or 2 sides enclosed. So in this case, I only did the 300 of the back patio, and with the calculations and exemptions, we are now only able to add 271 square footage. If these shoulders need to be included, that number would be smaller. And lastly, if the word uncovered was inserted, now all of these covered spaces are no longer exempt. The front porch, the patio, the pergola, and the covered balcony on the second floor, which adds totaling 4,900 square feet of existing space. When you subtract that from the allowed, you are now 929 square feet over the allowed. This would make this property an existing non-conforming property. You wouldn't be able to add any additional interior space or covered porches, patios, or solid pergolas, any covered space, exterior space, as it is now not exempt from this. So by adding the word uncovered, it pretty much nullifies the lot coverage calc, because in the lot coverage calc, this is based off of a percentage of your lot. It says you're allowed to have about 40% coverage of your lot. So 40% of 16,000 is 6,400. However, this number is now lower than that. So this lot coverage calc is no longer even usable. So you went from 600 square feet to maybe 200 something and less, depending on those little shoulders, and now you're over what is allowed. And what does it mean to be existing non-conforming? What can you do? Well, if you have a house that becomes existing non-conforming, there are two sections of code that I've found pretty important to know. It says in this non-conforming buildings or structures, you can remodel, rehabilitate, or alter your building, your structure, as long as your work does not increase the degree of non-conformity. Let me say that one more time. You can remodel as long as you do not increase the degree of non-conformity. So you can't add square footage, interior conditioned square footage, or exterior covered space, because that would be increasing the degree of non-conformity. And there is this other section in the code that makes me wonder whether or not you can actually get a building permit or not. The city shall refuse to issue any permit, approval, or clearance that is sought pursuant to this title where the existing or proposed use, building, or structure has been found to be in violation of this code, except as otherwise authorized by the city council. So it's not really clear what you can do if you have an existing non-conforming house. What did staff say when we asked why this was inserted? Here's a background slide. The change to this section was viewed as a clerical level edit that would provide additional clarity for users of the code and internal consistency to the document. Was this really a clerical level edit? And does it actually provide clarity for users of the code? How did we find out about this word? In October of 2024, last year, an applicant submitted a project and was reviewing the project with the city staff. Staff had notified them that the project is out of conformance, that this word insertion had put them out of conformance. The applicant tried to get an answer for months about how this word was inserted, and with no answer, in December of 2024, he hired an attorney to formally write a letter asking how this word was inserted. In February of 2025, the city attorney wrote a letter back saying this word was added and seen as staff as a clerical edit, but will be removed from the code as it was seen as it was more appropriate to go through the Planning Commission and City Council. Over here is zoning tax amendments. The proper process would have been going through Planning Commission and City Council. That February, a St. Helena Star article came out. The first paragraph said, "Does a covered patio add to the official size of a house? A dispute over a minute section of the St. Helena City Code last year led to a police being called, a city official resigning after an alleged threat, and now claims of retaliation by the city's top administrators against a man who says he was simply raising concerns about an apparent unauthorized change." Since the word was removed and the staff had to go through the proper process, On April 15th, a Planning Commission hearing was held, and the staff presented their recommendations. And as you can see, on April 16th in the St. Helena Star article, it said the St. Helena Planning Commission endorses controversial code change. A dispute over St. Helena's zoning code that exploded into accusations and threats and retaliation is headed toward a peaceful resolution. The verdict: covered porches count. The Planning Commission voted 4-0 Tuesday to recommend the adoption of code language clarifying that covered porches, balconies, and decks count towards the size of a house when calculating floor area. Next, it had to go through City Council. On May 13th, this agenda item was on. It was number 11.1. A bunch of public comments were submitted. The City Council meeting, the city attorney had pulled the item from the agenda for a later date as they needed more time to review the public comments. So where are we now? It's June, and it needs to be brought back into a City Council meeting, and that could be any of these next few city councils. In June 17th, just this past week, the Planning Commission hearing finally reviewed the project that was originally submitted in October of 2024. It took 9 months for single-family residents to go through the Planning Commission and planning review, and now it still has to head through building. 9 months. Also, days before the June 17th, 2025 Planning Commission hearing, the city attorney submitted a memorandum stating that he had changed his opinion and does not see that the word uncovered is needed to be inserted into the zoning code. So right now, we are just waiting for it to show back up on a city council agenda, and also understand how and why this word was inserted. In the staff presentation in these hearings, the slideshow included some background. See the highlighted section. It says background: direction received from residents and subcommittee members that the residential development standards were too generous. New homes were developing to maximum floor area ratio, in which many cases was out of character with the surrounding neighborhood. This is one of the reasons why they supported the insertion of the word uncovered. And they reference these stakeholder meetings. I went back and found 2 slides of the stakeholder meetings. Please note the first one on the left that says code is often a barrier to development. And on the right, discretionary review, lack of predictability. The project that put the spotlight on the word uncovered in the zoning code is this project here on Madrona and Spring Mountain Road. Someone purchased this property, and we know how expensive it is to buy anything in this town. Put time, money, and effort to design something better for the community. At the June 17th, 2025 Planning Commission hearing, after 9 months, the Planning Commission gave them their approval. 9 months for a single-family home. After the project was reviewed, the commissioners discussed how to attract more developers to invest in our town, how to bring more young families here, how to encourage more housing. They applauded the applicant and the owner to spend money revitalizing this house. Yet I don't think they know what they put that applicant and owner through for 9 months. A commissioner said only people with the means can afford to do projects in this town. But if it takes 9 months for a single-family home project to get through the Planning Commission, soon no one with or without the means will want to do projects in this town. We need to start by supporting our residents, not drive them out. We need people to want to live here, work here, and be part of the community. I'm showing you these photos of other projects as different examples of porches and styles. These ranch houses here, the porches would not even be exempt in the current adopted code as they're not 3 sides open. You would have to count this against your building square footage. This is not as well. It's 2 sides closed. And look at this. This is what brings our people to our town, character houses like this. But look how large that space is. That's a lot of area. Porches protect homes from the heat. They reduce energy bills. They break up massing. They protect doors and windows from the elements, and they serve as a sustainable passive design strategies for buildings. Porches are places where we gather, talk to our neighbors. Patios and pergolas are places where we sit and chat and drink wine and talk about tomatoes. Why count them towards our interior square footage? Small town character isn't just the built environment. It's the people who live here. It's the community. We keep the character alive. If you want people to invest in our town, start by investing in and supporting your residents. Don't try to over-regulate us. Inserting the word uncovered and portraying it as a clerical edit to our zoning code is disingenuous. One simple word, inserted by people who don't live here, could be the beginning of a ghost town. As an architect and resident and neighbor and mom, someone who loves St. Helena, I can't just let this go. If your addition went from 800 square feet to 200 square feet, does it even make financial sense to expand your home? With the building fees and drawings and everything, does it make sense? No. We need to start by supporting our residents, not drive them out. I'm asking you, residents of St. Helena, let's not let this get swept under the rug. Our government works for us. Stream the videos, read the public comments, do the homework, take a screen cap of this slide. Here are important dates here on the screen. If you haven't been to the website before, this is kind of what it looks like. Here's the city council. You can go to the calendar, select by date. It'll tell you regular city council meeting, and down here there will be an agenda where you can scroll down and access all the public comments as well as video. You can watch live streaming of these videos and listen for yourself the staff recommendations presented. Know that we are in a city manager council form of government. This means we as the residents need to talk to our city council. There are our representatives, and they talk to city manager. They direct the city manager, and the city manager manages all the directors and staff. The city council is here for us. We need to talk to them. And the city manager works for us, and they hold people accountable. In the council manager system, the city manager is accountable to the city council, and the council can hire or fire the manager. This structure is designed to ensure both strong political leadership from the elected officials, and professional management from the appointed city manager. Talk to your city council. Let them know your thoughts. We need action. I need your help. This item will be brought to a city council meeting soon. It has not been set yet. Each personally gets 4 minutes to talk, hence why I'm making this video. I can't get all of this in 4 minutes. Come and speak up or forever hold your peace. Thank you. Again, my name is Michelle Lou Covell. I am an architect, and I am here if you have any questions. Thank you for your time. Please share this video with your friends in town.